Oh, downsizing. That's something cool. But we're not going to talk about it again. What is something we're going to talk about later?
Something Star Wars.
Yeah, let me look in the show notes. Oh, there was a couple of cool pictures. Hold on a second. Montetic. Maybe something about Snoke. Anything about that?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, so the reason we stopped the feed was basically because that first part we put as a Patreon exclusive. Yeah, let's put some Snoke stuff up. What do you think? Which one of these stands out to you? I actually have something about Palpatine later too.
I like the one above that.
This
Oh
one?
no, the red one.
This one?
Yeah, the red one.
Okay.
What's up, Shaggies?
Hello. Hello.
Is it me you're looking for?
Yes. Okay, we're not gonna start singing because we're gonna lose people. Can see it in your eyes.
Thanks, Eric.
Did he say my vocals were on point?
They're on fleek, dude.
That's gonna lose us listeners. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's big.
that's awesome.
All right, that's
Dude, it's like 1,000,000 degrees in here.
it's because I bet the heater's on. The heater's on outside. Pop that window open a bit. We're getting our environmental issues in order, but we're about to start the show proper. Thanks for joining us in the chat, people. Feel free to chime in. We got a bunch of SWOTOR up front and getting to some fun Star Wars stuff. I actually have some Battlefront things we were going to throw in later too, so that'd be good. Don't open it too much because then either a cat will come in or there'll be moths. You're welcome, Shaggies.
Who's cares if there's a cat? We already got a pussy in here.
Well, good thing that's pre-show. Welcome to pre-show.
Pre-show.
An hour in. Jesus. Thanks for 27 trailers. All right, so we just finished trailer time. If you're not a patron of the show or you're just tuning in, we always do. We don't always, but when we have a lot of trailers to watch, we'll watch trailers, and that's kind of a Patreon exclusive. We have a little fun with the chat, cuss a little bit, and that kind of thing. So patreon.com/usual podcast if you ever want to check those out. If you don't catch us live, I don't need to have this turned towards you, right?
No.
Okay, so we are good to go. Let me get my bumpers up, and we'll start the show proper like. Proper like? I feel like that's like from 1994. Proper like?
You're weird.
Well, maybe I know more things. Ever think about that?
I think you should start the show before I beat the crap out of you.
Oh, it never happened. Okay, we're going to start. Here we go.
The blast came from the Death Star. That thing's operational.
Dr. Banner. Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
Hello and welcome to episode 113 of the Usual Podcast. Podcast we discuss Star Wars: The Old Republic, the Star Wars franchise, and geek and pop culture. I'm your host, Marshall, and with me, as always, we've been having some back and forth tonight, but that's okay, is my co-host, Will. Say what's up, buddy. How you doing?
There's really no such thing as back and forth between you. It's really you and just taking it.
So we're just sitting here enjoying our usual frosty beverages. What are you drinking, dude?
I actually had another prankster this week.
Yeah, went to the same spot.
We did. Oh god, it's the best burger in town.
Yeah, you're into that.
It is really good.
It's good.
Nice pepper jack cheese with some cremini mushrooms. Oh,
Yeah.
so good. And then I just finished drinking a Gatorade.
No one cares about the Gatorade.
It's all important to hydrate, yo.
Speaking of hydration, I am drinking Stone 21st Anniversary Hail to the Hop Thief. And it is a double IPA. It's delicious. And I love everything about it. It's 9.8. I've been milking it through trailer time. But it's going to be a heck of a show.
Yeah, it is.
So before we get started, if you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. That's a lot of social media. I'm at DeathPops on Twitter. Will is at IMOGriggs. See, I didn't let you respond there. We're on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, maybe Google Play, who knows. But when you see us, give us some stars, give us a rating. Let us know. Let us know you like us.
Stars are always good.
We like to be liked. Moving on. We do have the timestamps in the show notes for non-SWTOR fans. We do have a ton of SWTOR this week because a bunch of stuff dropped like yesterday.
Word.
So we'll be talking a lot about that. And thank you to everybody in the chat room. Oh, we're on Google Play still. Thanks, Keen. Confirmation.
Word.
Are you going to do that the whole time?
Word.
Don't you? Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Chat room, thank you for being there. We do our best to keep our eyes on chat. Thank you for Skeen, Too Little, Steve, and Zookeeper for hanging out with us during trailer time. We really appreciate that. And Shaggy's is here as well. Big SWTOR news, very big indeed. Indeed. I like the Trump reference.
Yes.
You like that? All right. So, the beer's,
Huge.
the beer's already kicking in. Anyway, so feel free to jump in whenever you can, but we got a ton to talk about. So let's jump right into it. Well, before we get to that, actually, before we get to that, though, we're working on getting back to consistency. We are on a Wednesday night this week.
We are.
And because stupidly, I picked up 2 Thursday shifts this month.
Yes,
so
you
this week, and not next week, but the week after, we'll be on a Wednesday. And I'll try to tweet out. I tweeted out earlier, so it's actually nice to have people in the chat room. We, sometimes we have to change things.
We do, because real life gets in the way.
Freaking real life. Anyway,
Anywho.
let's get to SWTOR.
Yeah, we can.
One job.
You want to fight? I'm ready.
You do not have to stand against me. Instead, I will share all of this with you, if you will only kneel.
I was just going to say, I could do it, but, I just thought, that's the one job you could do, but you're blowing it.
As well as setting up trailer time.
Touche, sir. Okay, so real quick, before we get into SWTOR, we got a ton of stuff. But anything that you guys were excited about as we start talking about the roadmaps and stuff like that, pop it in there, and we'll try to address it as we go forward since we have people that can contribute. So here we go. And you're yawning already.
Yes, I am. And let's talk about what we did in game. What did you do in game this week?
I did some stuff. We did What's an Ops group on Friday night. We were sort of training a new tank.
Yeah, you were telling me about this. You were training a new tank. You had a healer that wasn't normally a healer.
No, it was like kind of a perfect storm for multiple wipes. And Skeen, you were there too, right? Yeah, Skeen was there. It was. We did DP because it was on the group finder, and Dread Palace is fine, except that first boss is really hard, and especially if you have a new tank and you're training people, it's not an easy op. So
that's the one with the dog things.
That's the best year in the beginning with the portals and the people coming in and the monsters come in.
Right.
One tank has to deal with the monsters and the other one. Anyway, it was brutal. We never got past that first boss. But it was, again, learning experience and still fun, of course, because we were all drinking and having a good time. I did some dailies, grinded some CXP. I think I am level 215-ish, CXP-wise, which is pretty nice. And my armor rating is around 240.
Nice.
Which is pretty sweet.
Nice.
So I'm making progress. I'm in 3rd tier. I'd like to get to 300 at some point. So.
Yeah, you could always be like Keith.
Oh God, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, Keith is just ridiculous. But
Ridiculous. All right, so I actually did not even get a chance to log in once this week. But I'm super excited because, as you know, 5.5 is going to be coming out on Tuesday, and starting Wednesday afternoon, we have a fall break. So
yeah. Next week's gonna be
4
nice.
days.
Yeah. So we have some time off next week, which is kind of nice. And I think I like having a little break in October because things get a little crazy.
Yeah, well, 2 years ago we had a week-long break, and now it's
yeah, and
only
then
2
now
days.
it's a 4-day weekend or some sort of combination of that. But the idea here is that we're gonna have time to mess with some of the stuff we're gonna talk about pretty quick here. So we finally last week we talked about the roadmap not being a thing or not being out yet.
I know, right?
And then a couple days ago we have the roadmap. So today is the 4th of October. On December 2nd, on October 2nd, excuse me. I think my dog's trying to enter the room. Shut that on him. Great. We have the roadmap. So do me a favor, dude. We both read through this, right?
Yes.
If you could pull yours up on yours, and what I'm going to do is just kind of go through it, and things that jumped out at you, let's do it. Okay?
All right, 1 second.
So it's going to take us a couple minutes. What we're going to do is just kind of go through what's coming. And the way the way this fell is that we're recording kind of before some of the other influencers probably do, but our release schedule's lame. So we'll probably release after they do, but it is what it is. So first thing, Fall Roadmap 2017 finally is happening, and I'm just going to read this from the top. Roadmap offers a first look at the upcoming direction for the game, provides a brief review of our last few months, and offers insight into what you can expect for the remainder of this year. I look forward to hearing your feedback and reading your comments on our roadmap. And there's a lot of that. So this is Keith talking, lead producer. He says, I feel like it bears repeating that our team's priority is to continue providing great story-driven gameplay along with multiplayer Star Wars content. Most importantly, we want to ensure everyone, including those who prefer solo activities, has an enjoyable experience every time we play the game. And to help make this happen, we believe it's the right time for our galaxy to come together. So, this is all leading up to something that seriously has been at every cantina since I can almost remember. And I've been to a lot of cantinas.
Yes,
Okay.
you have.
United Forces is the campaign that they're going to launch.
Yeah, I like the title first of all because it's a dual meaning because as we're going to get to in a minute, it talks about server combos, but it also talks about a uniformed a new way for group play.
Indeed. But what this entails is starting on October 10th and through a series of updates through November 28th, they're making improvements to the way players come together in multiplayer experiences to make everything more accessible, convenient, and rewarding. And essentially what it comes down to is server merges. Okay? And I'm gonna jump to the rollout schedule. So October 10th, game update 5.5, United Forces Foundation. And in addition to a variety of quality of life improvements, which we'll get to in a little bit, this update includes the underlying foundation needed to support United Forces. Okay, October 24th, United Forces formation. On this day, the game will be unavailable for the extended time, as we'll be setting up the formation of the campaign. Really, what I think I'm interpreting this as, don't expect the servers to be up that day.
No, because actually what they are literally doing is they're putting in new servers.
Yeah.
And new hardware and everything. So it's.
But you get the impression that they've been working on this for a while. They knew this was coming, but they didn't want to say anything because they didn't want to freak people out, right, and speculation, etc. So really they're working on that stuff, and that's October 24th. Now November 8th, United Forces is rolled out, and everyone moves to 5 new servers with the new names as follows. Okay, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. 2
servers in North America and 3 servers in Europe. Each one of the ones in Europe is English, French, and German. And you can expect extended downtime as they make improvements, etc. I want to jump over and tell you I want to do the server names now real quick. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to bury the lead on the most recent news? Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to tab. Boom. Here we go. So, what will my new server be? And I'm jumping back and forth between blogs. Okay. Yeah, I know, Shaggy's. I'm bearing the lead a little bit. So as of the announcement on this is Harbinger, Bergen Colony, or Bergeren Colony, and Bastion. We used to be on the Bastion. Remember that?
One of the many.
One of the many servers we were on. The new server, as of the announcement, was called the Hot Prospect. Okay, and that's which and I'm jumping to the live stream that was yesterday. Basically, was a ship from KOTOR
Right.
lore called the Hot Prospect, and he can't. Eric explained why that was and blah blah.
Right.
So Jedi Covenant, Shadowlands, Ebon Hawk, Prophecy of the Five, and Jung Ma are all going to be called the Starforge. Okay. And then the European servers, they're combining the European servers into Darth Malgus, the Leviathan, and Tulak Horde. Tulak Horde is German, French is the Leviathan, and English is going to be Darth Malgus, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
As of today, there was some, and backlash to say the least. I didn't put this in the show notes yet, but really what it came down to is Hot Prospect. We talked about it. I actually really like the name Hot Prospect.
Yeah.
I get that there's some connotations to it, which is why they elected to change it. As of today, they changed it to the Satil Shan, which is fine.
It's fine.
Not as exciting.
Yeah, but now Starforge is the outlier because the other four are named after people. So
Right. So I personally would have liked them to just stick to their guns and call it the Hot Prospect. I think we could have had a lot of fun with that guild-wise
yeah, we could.
and content-wise going forward. But it is what it is. If you look up Hot Prospect on Urban Dictionary, as we did earlier,
Right.
I mean, I knew there were connotations to it that could have been, construed as inappropriate for some folks. But honestly, dude, like, yeah, I don't want to go out on a limb and be like, everybody should just lighten up. I don't really want to say that. I just want to say,
you
like,
want to say get off my lawn.
I do want everybody off my lawn. To be honest with you, I really do. But what it comes down to is it's the Satil Shan, and we're going to be on the Satil Shan server. So we're going to have to deal with that. I'm sad a little bit because I was looking forward to being on the Hot Prospect, to be honest.
You're looking forward to being a Hot Prospect.
Maybe, and this is the problem.
Yes.
I think this is the problem. Because podcasts like us wouldn't let this go, probably.
Oh, no.
And a lot of people like it better. Some people wanted to say the same. It is what it is. So let's get to gameplay. Gameplay, really, they're trying to give something for everyone. And this is I'm nutshelling gameplay direction in the roadmap. What it really comes down to is they're doing everything from the next boss encounter for operations. They're even upgrading Galactic Starfighter, which the details haven't come out to that yet.
Right, but they said it was like top to bottom.
Oh yeah,
changes to the ships and stuff like that.
Yeah, it sounds like they're really doing a lot to that. So, and it says they brought back companions, blah blah blah. So, based on the feedback we see on our forums, fan sites, etc., November 28th, they're going to release the biggest multiplayer update of the year. We've got something for everyone. So, they're going to do a new Flashpoint called Traitor Among the Chiss, which we'll talk about later, which I'm very excited about. And let's see, they're going to do a new Warzone.
Which is basically, they said, on the Alderaan map, but it's going to be a little bit different.
Yep. We've got the third boss encounter of the Gods in the Sheen, which is Nahut, something like that.
Yeah, Nahut is what they said.
Nahut. For those of you looking for dogfighting in space, they're going to do a big update for Galactic Starfighter as well. And there's a new location for PvP. So, I mean,
they also said in Galactic Starfighter it's going to be an epic battle around Iokath.
Yeah, which is sick. I love it.
Yes. Now, talking about the Chiss, Traitor Among the Chiss, the main companion they're bringing back is Reyna Temple.
Right.
Which makes a lot of sense. But then they Charles Boyd decided to drop a whole bunch of names of let's say companions that are in the works, but not definite timeframes yet.
We also couldn't remember some of them,
right,
and may have misspoke on some of them.
Well, yeah, but he said that for the most part, the ones he said are going to come back at some point. They're actually in the work. I mean, stories are being written for them or whatnot.
Right.
But did you notice that one of the ones he dropped was Mako?
Yeah. About time.
He did say Mako.
Good. And it is. I mean, I think some of the main companions, excuse me, for the classes are coming back, and they're working on making them come back.
Yeah, so like Vector's coming back, Arresta's coming back, the Dark Side Jason.
Yeah, they said Dark Side Jason, but not Light. Right. But I hope that, and I kind of like that almost because it's story driven.
It's story driven, definitely.
Yeah. So that is that's gameplay, just the direction. We also have story and companions, which we've kind of just talked about right now. We're gonna get more companions. And at the end of this, it says, as we did with crew skill missions, they're looking to improve how you gain influence with your companions to increase their overall effectiveness, which is pretty cool. What am I missing from this? Anything?
Well, we are getting a new planet called Capero.
Is that in that section? Where is that?
It's in the story and companion section.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we're getting.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
So we're getting a new planet called Capero. And Shaggy, you're right. They didn't actually mention anything about Nadia, so that's one that's not in the works.
Right. Well, or he forgot.
Or they forgot.
So we'll. I'm sure they'll post something officially. What you'll be able to do. They're also working on customizing things like with Sharon, Lana, Shay, Koth, and Senya.
Yeah, they're having more companions that they're making customizable again.
And also, it says something like, while at the same time, changed how some interact with you. So I don't know if that has to do with story stuff or what, but that's I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's very vague wording.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
A lot of this is vague.
Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. Galactic Command. Oh, there's a ton of stuff happening here. So I'll just read some of this. Since its introduction back in Knights of the Eternal Throne, ranking through Galactic Command and upgrading your gears remain controversial. I'm glad they were acknowledging it, at least. They made substantial improvements, such as adding gear tokens and operations, etc. So based on your most recent feedback, we're going to be making additional changes while including the following. So this is what they're doing. Galactic Crate content improvements. They're adding another slot in each crate. So no matter what tier, it gives you another chance to get mod, enhancement, grand chance cube, etc. Right?
Right.
This is cool. This I'm actually really intrigued by, but how I'm going to take advantage of this, I have no idea. The new legacy perk. Did you see this?
I did. This looks interesting.
Well, for each character that reaches command rank 300, they will automatically add an additional 25% bonus CXP to your entire legacy.
To a maximum of 100.
Maximum of 100. You have to purchase the 25%.
The first one.
Yeah. But the additional 75 will be free, and it's retroactive. But here's the deal. I don't even have one at 300.
I know. We're not Keith.
Yeah, and we keep saying we're not Keith. And maybe that's the name of the show. We're just going to keep saying we're not Keith for now until we get to that. CXP for all areas of the game is also in review. Some players experience this big bump, right? In some of the things that we've been dealing with right. Some of the heroics and dailies and stuff. So their plan is all areas throughout the game will coincide with a Trader Among the Chiss update. So it sounds like they are going to nerf what it is.
We still think the Tipsy Crow initiative is the way to go.
Well, they don't listen to our show. But what I'm thinking is they're going to nerf where it is now, but they're going to up everything. Is kind of what I'm thinking.
They're basically going to level out the peaks and spread out the valleys.
You're very metaphorical tonight.
I am what I am.
Okay. So also with the Trader Among the Chiss, they're changing how disintegration works, which to me, this is the kind of the only, not Keith. This is the only thing that I found a little controversial almost for me was because, no, I'll just read this. So instead of receiving more CXP, like when you disintegrate something, they're going to provide you with unassembled components for armor and weapons, which will allow you to turn it in and get armors and weapons, right? In addition, you can send those components to any character in your legacy, as we're changing these to legacy bound consumables. So they're messing with my legacy bound stuff, and I don't want to get to that quite yet. But what I'm kind of annoyed about is there was a post, I want to say yesterday, that said, well, it's going to work with new crates, but it also works with old crates. Do you understand what I'm saying with this?
Yeah.
Well, so if instead of disintegrating stuff right now, I should wait to disintegrate things.
Yeah, it's basically saying if you open your crates, if you have crates now, and any crates you gain between now and the Chiss release on November 8th, if you open them now, you can disintegrate. But if you hold on to those crates and then open them after the 8th of November, you can get the assembled components.
You see my problem though?
That you're going to have a full storage hold?
I'm opening crates now because I'm trying to upgrade my gear. And I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm getting really, I'm leveling up my CXP levels really fast right now.
Right.
I don't want to just be like, well, I don't want to feel like it's for nothing, and I also don't want to try to find another place to store all this crap. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah, one thing I wish that they would do is if they would make it a 2-tiered disintegration option. So like you could disintegrate the stuff, but you would then get the assembled components.
Right.
And then before you transfer that stuff, you would have the option to disintegrate that for CXP.
I get you, man. But I think it's a little bit, it's like one of those things where when you know something's coming, you want to prepare for that thing, you know? But I feel like...
Well, the thing is, it really doesn't affect us right now because we're not at 300 yet. So we want all that CXP. So we should be okay disintegrating our stuff. This is for those people that are over 300 or at 300 on these tunes,
Yeah,
and so
I
the
guess.
extra disintegration doesn't help them.
I guess. Okay. I'll leave you at that for now. How about that?
You better.
Okay. All right. So they are going to introduce they're not going to introduce, a new set of gear for Galactic Command. Instead, they'll be offering a special set of augments to enhance your
because
existing gear.
they haven't raised augments in a while.
Yeah, and so the augment thing is a little controversial. I know there was a lot of questions in the live stream. We'll talk about that a little later about the augments themselves, but I think that's a nice kind of happy medium. They're giving, there's a way to get better augments.
Well,
Right.
as it is, I still haven't had a chance to fill out my gear yet. I'm still missing
Right.
2 pieces. So
Right.
and
And
that's on one tune. That's not even any other tune.
exactly. So these will drop in the Copero Flashpoint, or can be purchased from the Copero vendor. In addition, they'll offer even better versions of augments you can craft from materials gained through PvP and PvE. So, I like that. I like I craft augments as it is, so it'd be kind of cool to be able to craft the new stuff.
Yeah,
Make some money. So that'd be good. Operations, they're working on, they're going to continue to put the new bosses on the public test server. They're in the process of finalizing the Hut and the Son of Shadow, who has new mechanics that will make the fight very entertaining for everyone, etc. And then next month they'll be testing the 4th boss encounter, which is, I don't know, Skiva. I guess the best way to describe it is Skiva.
Skiva.
Skiva's better. Anyway. So, and then there's going to be the final boss encounter with Isaacs, yeah. And that's going to leak into next year. So that makes, begs the controversy a little bit too of, I thought we were going to get this year kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't
the
think
whole
they-
operation.
Yeah, I don't think they said the whole operation was going to be out.
They kind of alluded that it would be.
Well, they never say anything.
I know, but it is what it is. And I'm fine with this. I don't really care. I would like that to come a little. I like it to be a little more often, honestly.
Yeah, I get you.
But mostly because I do ops every week. Oh, Skiing, you trolling us a little bit. I can see that. Stackable storage, not in the roadmap.
No.
It's disappointing.
But no, honestly, a lot of the different quality of life changes they made over the last couple of years has pretty much solved my issue with stackable storage. I mean, with a
Notice he
combination,
says pretty much.
Yeah, well, with a combination of the outfit designer and collections and increased item caps and stuff like that, it solved a lot of issues. But still the main thing is it's like, I'd like to have that stuff there at any time if I want to change into that stuff, but without having to pay the money to get it out of collections.
Yeah, Darth Andrea is actually a pretty decent question. The only question about the server merger is depending on where you're at story-wise. So if you're one server, you have 6 stories complete, and the other server, you have 2 stories complete, which takes precedent. I'm gonna say that they're going to do kind of what they do with everything else and kind of combine it.
Yeah, with the legacies, when you combine legacies, when you have servers, characters on two different servers, it's whichever one has accomplished more.
Yeah,
But
so
you don't lose anything from the. Basically, it fills in the gaps and then gets rid of the rest.
right, and I'm imagining we're talking about story chapters, right? Or we're talking about
Right.
class stories, right? Yeah, there's a lot of questions out there, and there's an FAQ. We'll go through that in a little bit here in a minute, but the bottom line is there's a lot of things they had to take into consideration before they even announced this, which makes sense why it took so damn long to get this roadmap out, is because they're trying to plan this for this year and early next year, right?
Yeah. So, for example, Darth Andrea, if you have, say the only two you're missing on the server with the 6 stories completed are, say, Bounty Hunter and Counselor, but the two that you have on the other ones are Counselor and Smuggler.
Yeah.
When you combine them, I would assume that your new one would have 7 complete, with the only one you would be the Bounty Hunter.
But here's the other thing, though. I think that stuff is character specific, though, too. I mean, I get that for the achievements they'll do that, right? I mean,
Right, but I think she's talking about, because she's mentioning the server screen. You know, the markers when you that have, you know, when you're I forget what the title is, but when you complete all 8 stories,
yeah,
then you get the complete thing. I think that's what she's talking about.
yeah. Interesting. I bet it's gonna they'll figure that out. There's gonna be some kind of merger there. I don't think you're gonna lose anything, obviously. I found, especially with character transfers and stuff like that, and mergers from the past, I think that it's really going to come down to they're going to take whatever's best. So remember early on in the game when they combine legacies, they take whatever legacy level is higher.
Okay, that's actually what she brings up in the second part here, is that the server that has the 2 stories completed is actually the higher level legacy. So what's going to happen is that legacy is going to retain that name. Okay? That name is going to take precedence, but your accomplishments from the other server and legacy are going to combine.
Yeah, you're not going to lose that stuff.
No. So
and they were very adamant about saying, like, you're not going to they're not going to make it so you lose stuff.
Exactly. So basically you're going to go from 2 to 7 in the scenario that I said before. So it's just that it's the only thing that's going to matter is which name is going to take precedence, and legacy level. And in your case, it's going to be the name and legacy level of the
one with the 2.
Right.
So let's look at class balance and gameplay experiences. They're basically they're going to continue to do that. Obviously, we talked about last week where they're eventually going to get down to changing dealies. What is the deals called?
Mercenaries?
Nope. The other thing we talked about last week, there was class changes, and then there was utilities.
Utilities.
Thank you.
Right.
Phew. Flew out of my head. Player versus player, PvP stuff. They are so they're increasing Bolster to 242 for non-ranked war zones, which doesn't remove the gear chase, but gives everyone a fighting chance, which I think is important. And it gives those who have made the effort to get tier 4 to benefit for their time investment, which is good. And with Trader among the Chiss, they're also going to have the unassembled components will become legacy bound, which will now focus your entire legacy on gearing up 1 or more characters a lot faster, which I think is good for PvP. So being able to pass those off is a good thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. What else do we have here? With Starfighter, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to introduce extensive ship and component balance changes, and they'll be adding some quality of life improvements for GSF. I actually really like GSF, and I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do. They're being very vague right now.
Yeah, well, I've never played those type of games, whether they be what are they called? Flight
simulators.
Thank you, simulator games, where you have to do the multiple, where you have to worry about. My hand and mind don't work that way, and so the space battle.
I used to play the ones that had the joystick.
Yeah, the space battle ones are a little bit easier for me just because they're basically on rails.
Yeah.
The Starfighter, I always end up like not knowing which way is up, and I get lost from the battle, and I end up you know, it's like PvP. People hate me because I don't contribute.
No, I
I'm
hear
like,
you.
I'm like, if I could get there, I would.
So last few things here in this very extensive roadmap. Quality of life. He says it's a term they use to talk about increasing gameplay experiences. So quality of life improvements include changes to existing game systems, improvements to the user interface, simplifying ways to do things in game, increasing the speed of mounts, adding legacy perks, and more. Do you have any conjecture?
Well, I think the biggest quality of life that they're doing is the new servers. So
Yeah, for
everything's
sure.
going to be running faster and smoother.
Well, not only that, but to be able to know that when you queue up for something, it's probably going to pop immediately. If they're merging 3 or more servers for every server, there's going to be that many more people to pool for these things, which is cool. Let's see here. A cool change they're delivering with a trader among the Chiss is the ability to add credits to your legacy bank. And this is the one I want to talk about for a minute.
This for a while.
Yeah,
This is your stackable storage.
This is my stackable storage, and I'll tell you why. It's because I played EverQuest 2 back in the day, and this was not a non-issue. This was something that happened. I mean, this was...
Yeah, I'd like to know...
I've not played that in a decade or more.
I'd like to know how many 5-credit transfer fees I've had to pay to mail credits to different
Exactly.
characters.
So it says you'll retain the ability to have credits on your character. So this will work very similarly to how you use your guild bank, but it's for your legacy characters. So after reviewing your feedback, and this is what another little thing I'm upset about. After reviewing your feedback, we've decided to limit currency changes to credits and unassembled components, as those provide the most positive and impactful change. So instead of...
But the way the word is, that's not all that's going to happen. That's all it is now.
I get it, but we've all been saying make everything legacy, and they're like, well, based on feedback, we're just going to do these 2 things.
Yeah, I think that was the bad way to put it.
I just think it's kind of like, well, somebody said we only want these 2 things,
Because
and the rest is crap.
I mean, you want to be able to transfer PvP tokens and
What I want, dude, what I want, I'll tell you what I want.
What do you want?
I want when I get my...
I want to dance.
Yeah, well, besides dancing. I just want everything to be the same with every character. So when I go, I want a big, giant pool of stuff. So
And this is how many command tokens I have. This is how many.
Yeah, my currency
Right.
tab, I want to be consistent across all my tunes.
Gotcha.
I also eventually, in a perfect world, want my CXP to be on all my tunes. Why, if I'm grinding one character, it's taken me, since CXP has been a thing, I'm 15, I said?
I'm
You're
on
like
71.
71? Come on. Like, some people, like Keith,
We're not
have
Keith.
multiple tunes at 300. I don't have that kind of time.
Well,
And I have a lot of tunes that I want to I just want my legacy, my CXP level to be like my legacy level.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
That I can totally understand. I will say, in defense of the not having enough time thing, is I'm not the most proactive person on making sure I've got my CXP bonus going, and you know what I mean. It's like
I maximize that stuff.
and
'Cause
when-
I don't have that kind of time.
And when PvP was the one giving you the most, I didn't go play. I still dabbled in Planetary Heroics.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so schedule. Here's the plan. Oh, there's no link anyway. I'm moving on. Oh, here's the plan for the rest of the year. So we have the New York Cantina, which is this Friday. By the time you hear this, it would have already passed. What kills me is, let's merge this in with the live stream.
Yes,
They announced a bunch of stuff in the live stream yesterday.
lots of swag.
They're gonna have 3 T-shirts a person.
Right. Well, they're gonna have the two shirts from the last 2
Right.
meetups, but the new shirt is the Chiss Ascendancy shirt.
First of all, you want to know my beef?
What?
They don't come to San Diego anymore,
No, they don't.
and I hate them.
Yes, you do.
Moving on. Go ahead.
Moving on. And then the most important thing, they're having a special guest. And for those of you who haven't listened to the live stream yet, we would just like to ask you, can anybody in the chat room throw out, if you were going to have any guest that has to do with the Chiss, who would it be?
Yeah, and when 5.6, A Traitor Among the Chiss, is coming out, gee, I wonder who contributed to that story, and I wonder who might be involved with this, and I wonder who might be at the cantina.
Who created the Chiss in the first place?
To be fair, before the chat answers, we were lucky enough, a couple years ago, to meet Darren DePaul
And become a good friend.
when Knights of the Fallen Empire
Right.
was started and all of that, and I get that this is a periodic thing, but They haven't come to San Diego since. I'm not bitter about it at all. But since chat's not chiming in, since we're talking about Chiss, since we're talking about Thrawn, really what it comes down to, guys, is that Timothy Zahn is going to be at this event. He apparently helped write this story. I could not be more excited for this game update, knowing that Timothy Zahn's hands in it.
Exactly. He's a fantastic writer, and he's basically the granddaddy of the legends.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So that's pretty exciting. That's happening. And well, New York Comic Con's starting tomorrow as we're recording this on Thursday. So that's really exciting for those people.
It's Mox that's going, right?
No. It's Zen.
Zen.
Yeah.
And,
I think Elise is going too.
Yeah, Elise is
going to the Cantina.
Right. And Zen has tickets for everything but Saturday.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll talk to one or both of them in the next show or two and get them on there and talk about the Cantina, because I have not been to a Cantina in a while because some people don't come to California anymore.
Yeah, the last one I went to was the coffee one.
Yeah.
When they, it's still one of my most viewed tweets was when I aired the video that Dolphy picked up of the behind the scenes of the Carbonite.
Yeah.
Going through of.
Oh yeah, with Darth Malgus. No,
not Malgus.
Mar.
Yes.
Malgus.
No, it's Malgus.
It was Malgus. All right, so the rest of the schedule is United Forces Foundation. Obviously, Game Update 5.5 is coming. Some of the things that we've talked about: bolster, increasing improvements to Galactic Starfighter. Dark versus Light pop-up will now display less frequently, and once the site is
only
won,
when it wins, not every level.
Yeah. Not every time something happens. Substantial improvements to the IOCATH daily area. They reduced the IOCATH currency requirements, thankfully, because I haven't even bothered with that because I don't have that kind of time.
I still have never been to IOCATH.
It's actually really cool, but the problem is it takes a ridiculous amount of time and a ridiculous amount of dailies to get any of that stuff, and it's kind of a one-off, and it's like you waste all those tokens. So I don't know what they're going to do with that, so they'll figure that out. It still says trailer time. 1 second. At least I didn't go through like 2 different.
I love that we're still on SWTOR.
Yeah, we're still on SWTOR because we have a lot to cover. We're not even done.
Let's continue.
Yeah, Skeen, you're right. They have 3 shirts because they haven't come to me 3 times. I'll tell you that. All right. New Galactic Command rank legacy perk. We talked about that. Class balances. We talked about all that. So United Forces formation on October 24th. 5.5.1 on November 8th. They're bringing back the double rewards, which is XP, Command XP, and Valor and Requisition during that time. And basically, you have to if you log in, you get that mini pet, which is it's called Mogul NM1.
Yeah, it's the little animal from Karaga.
But it has the hat.
It does have the Taco Bell.
That's gonna be amazing. I love it.
Oh, and this is a mistake I just made a couple minutes ago. Is when I was talking about the disintegration date.
Yeah.
I said November 8th. I meant November 28th.
Okay. And it also says unlock new achievements when you complete multiplayer activities using Group Finder, and then you get Darth Hexid as a companion, which is the one we didn't get during the DVL event. Remember that?
Yes.
Anyway. Yeah, I don't know too little if anybody's going to be recording the cantinas. It's so hard to do that. There's so many people.
We do know that Elise is going, and she does have podcasting experience, but I don't know if she has any road mic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if she's going to be recording anything official, but there might be some people Facebook living or something like that, or Periscoping. Live. We'll see how it goes. And then Game Update 5.6, November 28th. We're going to get the third boss for their operation, new PvP map, new Flashpoint, new GSF map, new Group Finder revamp, and I guess what's going to happen with that is upgrades how you queue for multiplayer and solo activities, so there'll be a bunch of bonuses for random stuff. And it's also going to allow for the selection of individual activities such as daily areas, flashpoints, and ops, which is really nice to be able to differentiate that.
Yes.
Class balances, credits and unassembled components, that's going to come with that as well. Legacy-wide, a whole bunch of stuff. Instant Reign of Temples returning, and distribution of Special United Forces rewards, which I don't even know what that means. Anyway, 5.6.1, and that's going to be December 12th. Quality of Life, 6-year anniversary celebration. 6 years, bro.
I know, right?
It's crazy. Crazy. And Wookiee Life Day is coming back, of course. And
Of course, we're gonna get our anniversary mini pet.
Indeed.
For the droid.
yeah, and there's going to be just a couple more things. A look ahead to 2018. A few tidbits is what he's basically saying what's going to happen. Final bosses for Master Mode for Gods and the Machine. Conclusion to the chapter with the Traitor. Upgraded conquest system, new daily activity system with great rewards, and more multiplayer gameplay experiences, PvP and PvE. So that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, one thing they did mention that we haven't yet, because neither one of us are huge PvPers, is they have no news on Season 9 yet.
No, and that's just the way it is. So, I don't think we missed anything. But I just, what I'm going to do right now really quickly is just kind of, before we talk about the live stream, there's an FAQ and it's in the show notes. And this is basically for the United Forces update. And there's a whole bunch of frequently asked questions, including the server name changes, what's going to happen with your characters, all that kind of stuff. I think I'm going to save all of that conversation for next week.
Sounds like a plan.
Because this is running long. But what's cool, though, is that all of this is happening. They're finally doing a lot of things that people have been asking for a long time. Again, it's not that they're not listening. It's just some of the stuff is hard.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, a lot of it is not like flipping a switch.
Exactly. So let's talk about the live stream really quick. That happened yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. And it was...
Charles and Musco.
Yeah, Charles and Musco to start with.
And then they had an internet outage.
Yeah. So there's actually two streams. But what's cool is they talked about the companions returning. They fielded questions about transferring. They fielded questions about when they merge the servers, name changes, stuff like that. A lot of stuff they cover in the FAQ.
One thing they mentioned that we didn't talk about is they're raising the stronghold cap.
Right.
To 10, even though there's only going to be 6. So you're going to be able to have all of them.
Well, what that means is if you had 2 on one server and 6 on another, that means you have 8 strongholds. You might have like 2. They're trying not to take your decorated strongholds from you.
Yes.
So if you have 2 Dromund Kaas fully decorated strongholds, they're not going to take those from you. But one of the things they talked about was if you have a limit of 50 chairs, and you have 50 chairs in each one of those, and they merge, you have to pick up, you have to
pick them up and then put
the rest of those chairs, or you're not going to be able to put anything else down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things like that, which is fine. I'm just glad they're trying to take things away.
And Shaggy's right. There's a whole bunch of people that like the changes, and there's some that don't, and that's completely understandable. It's with every update.
But this update is huge.
Huge.
It's really big, and I think a lot of
honestly, I don't remember a bigger update like this since Coffee.
Yeah, no, it's been a long time.
And even that was not as big as this.
Well, I mean, there's and this is an update without a level cap increase.
Yeah, no level increase. It's a new planet, but it's not huge.
It's really only one boss, a flashpoint, and some other stuff. But everything else, quality of life, and all this other stuff that comes along to it, it's a big deal. So Keith showed up at some point, which was cool. I was trying to remember if I had met him a couple years ago at the deal.
Yeah, I think we met him at Coffee. But
I think we did, but whether we did or not, it was cool to see him finally make an appearance. He fielded questions for a little bit, and from what I understand, he stuck around in the chat for a bit. And did Q&A in the chat room for a little while. Should we just say it?
Yeah, let's talk about, first of all, how many characters he has.
Homeboy's insane.
He has 28 characters.
Sure.
And of those,
that's not crazy.
No. And of those 28, 15 are level 65 and 13 are level 70. And so that's still not the crazy part.
And Eric asked him the question. He said, "So, how many tunes do you have to 300 and which one are you working on now?" He says he's working on his 12th tune.
His 12th.
He finished it?
Yeah, he's working on his 13th, I think is what he said.
Whatever. It doesn't even matter at this point. He's working on his 12th, maybe, or 13th character to 300 CXP. I have this feeling that this guy, he works at BioWare and he does all these things. Then he just goes home and plays the game all night.
Doesn't even sleep.
I'm starting to think he's a vampire.
Yes.
I'm starting it here. Keith is a vampire.
Hashtag Keith is a vampire.
Otherwise, how do you do it? How you do it? He seemed like a cool guy. like I said, I really do think we met him.
Yes, I do too.
But
Had to have been at night.
yeah, but well, there was a lot of booze that day. So the bottom line is, it was a really good live stream. We've covered most of the things they've talked about. They're giving away shirts. Timothy Zahn announcement. They gave away. They did a giveaway in the stream. They had some really cool blue shirts on, which
that had Arabash for Chiss Ascendancy.
yeah, which had to do with the next expansion, which I thought was cool. So we have to get out of SWTOR before I go insane. But the bottom line is, anything else you want to say about
Big changes.
big changes? But are you stoked? Are you going to play more?
Oh,
or
I'm
what are you
excited.
thinking?
Like I said, I'm excited because next week we have a couple extra days off, and I'm going to be playing.
Indeed. All right, man. So if you have anything else you want to say, chat room, as far as SWTOR goes, hit us up and Twitter or email us or whatever, and we'll bring it up next week. Thanks everybody for being here during that section of the show.
Time for Star Wars.
We're gonna switch over to Star Wars. We have some cool stuff. I'm excited.
Switch the thing too.
I was raised to do one thing. But I've got nothing to fight for.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
All right, bro. Here we are.
Yeah, Star Wars should actually go pretty fast. Not a ton of news.
No, Star Wars is going to go quick, but I like some of the stories we have in here. So Alan Tudyk, talking about Marvel Star Wars comics, apparently he had a co-writing gig on the K2SO comic.
Yeah, I remember that he was trying to get more in depth on that character, and the perfect outlet.
Well, and reading the article was funny because he was talking a little bit about how he knows how the character talks, so he was adding some of the dialogue and
Yeah, and if I
stuff
remember
like
correctly, he was involved in the story components for the Firefly comics.
Yeah, no, totally. Tudyk is talented, and
Oh, absolutely.
and he's hilarious, and I
He was one of my favorite parts of Powerless.
he was my favorite part of Firefly, and then he died.
Spoiler alert.
It's been a long time.
Spoiler alert.
To be fair, he didn't die until Serenity.
Good point.
Moving on.
All right, so on to books. There's, like we talked about a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the. Can I say talking about a little bit more? Wow.
What were you talking about?
Talking about. Anyways, when we were discussing
It's been a long day.
the upcoming Journey to the Last Jedi books and stuff that's coming out, now a couple of them we're getting some more information about. The first one is Another Point of View, which is 40 different authors writing 40 stories about about Star Wars.
Right, which we talked about last week.
We did, and one of the things that has come out is the person writing the Boba Fett backstory thing kind of talks about the scene in Empire when Vader points at Fett and says no disintegrations.
Right.
In the story, you get it from his internal monologue,
Oh, really?
and you hear Fett say something like, yeah, I turned those 3 people to ash on Coruscant, but he wouldn't pay when I wanted to. It was like all this stuff, and it's really interesting. But the way
It's like reasons for disintegration in his head.
but
Yeah.
over this course of like
I
2
like that.
paragraphs of this inner monologue, it explains a couple of things. One, why Fett was with Jabba in the remastered version of A New Hope
Which is the one I showed to the kids.
right
Yeah.
with Jabba in the docking station.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very cool. And then we had the guy who, this is his first book in with the Star Wars universe, called Absolutely Everything You Need to Know. And we're getting a little simple backstory stuff. And the first one is that Luke has been on Octu for at least 2 years previous to The Force Awakens.
Interesting. I don't want to dive too much into it, but I mean, what do you do? What's he doing?
Exactly. What are you doing?
What are you doing, bro?
Although they did point out, is he eating the porgs?
I hope so.
But they
I hope he is really murdering them and eating their insides. Sorry.
No, actually, Mark Hamill came out and did a tweet, and he said that he does not eat the porgs, and he hasn't actually eaten meat since Aunt Beru made him that Womp Rat brisket.
He's been a vegetarian.
Yeah, so he's been a vegetarian for about 30 years.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, and I saw this too, but something about Snoke's Sith abilities?
Yeah, it turns out in this book also of absolutely everything you need to know. It talks a little bit about what Snoke's Sith abilities are, because we know he has dark side affinity, but we didn't know if he was actually Sith trained or whatnot.
Sure.
And it turns out he not only has telepathy, a la like Palpatine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kind of does.
Yeah.
But he can also force choke and throw.
Nice. Well, I mean, the telepathy is sort of a Force user thing, almost. It's almost like
it can be both dark or light.
It's more. I don't know if it's telepathy or empathy. There's some like kind of. I don't know. It's almost like they can tell what someone's thinking. Sometimes
it's because they communicate with the midichlorians on a smaller level.
Really? Is that what you're doing? Is that where we're going?
I went there.
You know what I'm saying, though.
I do.
Right?
No, absolutely.
And which makes more sense. Some of those conversations from The Force Awakens, he's staying there and he's talking to the Hux. He's talking to Kylo, and it's almost like, kind of like some of those conversations where Palpatine or Yoda kind of, were leading into things because you can tell that they know what they're thinking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, did I drag that out too far?
Nope.
Speaking. Oh yeah, yeah. See,
Through midichlorians.
I was talking to what the chat room was saying, not about midichlorians.
No, it was confirmation of what I said. Thank you, Darth Andrea. All right, so moving on to to films. Why don't you tell us what's going on with Force Awakens?
I think I'm gonna quit.
What's going on with Force Awakens?
Yeah, so The Force Awakens, Disney CEO apparently, and this is really, I thought you would get a kick out of this. I have some actually really interesting Bob Iger news later. But Disney CEO was consulted on Star Wars character death. And spoiler alert, this is from The Force Awakens. Someone died. We all know who it was, right? But what it comes down to is Iger was talking to Vanity Fair, and he said, we had a big debate about Han Solo. And he said, should he die or not? It was a decision made by Kennedy and Abrams, but he got involved. Okay.
Would you like me to say why and why this is duh?
Oh, please, because you're going to ruin the whole story, but go ahead. I'm joking. Please tell me.
My reasoning is that this is more about Harrison Ford and not the Han character, because the Han character is the Han character, but with Harrison Ford also being involved in the Indiana Jones property and a couple other titles that are under the Disney umbrella, if he wanted to, I'm sure make I mean, honestly, on a story level, I don't think he'd care,
Right.
but it's the fact that you don't want to do anything that's going to disrupt relationships with Harrison Ford, especially going into Indy 5.
No, I get you. He kind of says, it's sort of that, but he says Iger's comments confirm just how bold of a direction it was for the saga to take, blah, blah. They were able to move forward with their decision to provide one of the most tragic scenes in the whole saga. And he said, earlier this year, some of Iger's comments about Han Solo resulted in some very confused reactions from fans. And he said the insinuation in his comments were relation to his actual name as being opposing to an adopted name, right? Remember we talked about that?
Right.
A little bit, and he says, I'm not sure that's entirely what Bob meant. There's more to Han Solo's name, but it's not in the name, and obviously that's his name. It'll always be his name, and that was Kathleen Kennedy, right? But what was interesting, I thought, was I like what you came up with, but the fact that it's like we've already bought this thing from you. Why do they need to? You know what I'm saying? Like, why bring in Bob Iger? Like they bought the Star Wars deal, but do they need to consult Bob Iger because it's more of a, how do we market this? Like it's a kids thing sort, you know what I'm saying? Like it's Disney.
Well, I don't think it was so much that Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams went to Bob Iger. I think with anything he's going to get, I mean, he gets like a cheat sheet of this is stuff that's going on in the company right now, and this is, I'm sure, was given a big circle and a star and
right.
everything. And at that point, he went to him and said, okay, I hear this is what's going to happen. Here's my 2 cents.
Right. I mean, I guess that makes a lot of sense. It's like a CEO needs to know what's going on. And blah,
Yeah, I
blah.
think this is just more of this just shows more about operational structure.
Yeah, we know they've been trying to kill Solo for a long time. It was inevitable.
Yeah, but I think this story really has more to do with corporate organizational structure than it has to do with story content.
I thought it was interesting. I mean, I have some Bob Iger stuff later.
Yeah,
too.
I saw that too.
Oh, did you?
Yes. All right, so episode 9.
Oh, remember we talked about last week where Hux,
Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall Gleeson, who played General Hux, was talking about how do I want to say this? Was basically talking about the switch from Trevorrow to Abrams, right? But so they kind of go back to that, but at the same time, Boyega came out and he basically was like, yeah, I'm really happy, really excited. He told Cinema Blend, I actually sent him an email and asked him if the real reason is because he misses me. And I think that's what it is. That's the only reason why he came back, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I put this in here for fun because for me, this makes me laugh. And obviously there's a lot of other stuff going on here. But I like that the actors are excited to work with Abrams again. That bodes well, especially someone like Boyega, who is very excited to do all the things. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So, anyway.
One big news coming from somebody who likes the concept of film, that they're going to be doing screenings of The Last Jedi, not only in non-3D IMAX, which is great for those of us who actually have
Like depth
perception vision issues with 3D.
Okay.
But they're also going to be doing it in 35 millimeter,
Oh, that's cool.
which is fantastic.
Nice. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's not quite 70 millimeter, which is what you would have gotten like the old Ben-Hur in, and I think they redid one movie in it recently. Hateful Eight, I think, was done in 70 millimeter.
Nice. Yeah.
But,
I really want to watch that. I still haven't seen
yeah,
that.
it's a Plex. But 35 millimeter is a pretty cool way to go.
Nice. So, Rebels news. I have a little Rebel stuff. Dave Filoni confirms that Palpatine will not be in season 4.
You kind of thought. So,
Yeah,
especially with I mean, I think it would just be too many big bads with Thrawn, Vader, and...
There was some rumor, though, that he was kind of in the studio doing some voice acting, but he's been... what's the actor's name? Just flew out of my head for
Ian
Palpatine.
McDermott?
Yeah, Ian McDermott. He's been on some other talk shows and stuff recently, and he basically kind of says, "Yeah, I'm not in it," and that's fine. But that's the last season too, so we're not going to see him in that. But there is the announcement too that there is going to be another animated series.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they haven't announced it yet, but there's definitely going to be. Speaking of animation, Force of Destiny, Han Solo voice actors have been revealed for the Force of Destiny. Destiny? Destiny. And what's interesting is there's going to be obviously a young Han Solo and an older Han Solo.
Yeah, that's why. They're just two different voice actors.
Yeah. And the names were not familiar to me. I don't know if you know them.
No, that's why I didn't put this news in here. But yeah, it's a couple people that have voiced Han before, I believe, in other medium.
Yeah.
But yeah, so cool.
Which is really cool. I want to give them their due though. It's AJ Locasio, and where's the other one? I can't find it. Well, maybe I'll just cut it out. Where's the other
I
name?
think it's the line above it
Is it?
in that article.
Oh, yeah. Kif Vanden Heuvel.
Yeah.
Can they have more impronounceable names?
I believe that guy might be Icelandic or
I'm
Dutch or
trying
something.
to help them. I'm trying to give them some recognition because everybody listens to our show.
Everybody. And Darth Andrea, we haven't ignored you in chat. I think that's a really interesting concept about the idea of Order 66. I think it might be a little too in-depth of a concept to go into for a film.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue, right? Yeah.
I think that would be more of a book concept.
Which I would like to see.
Oh, absolutely.
Totally. Battlefront 2 news.
Last
There,
Star Wars news.
last bit of Star Wars news. Yeah, you're right. There is some beta details. The beta started, I think, today for Star Wars Battlefront 2. And there was a new trailer, which we didn't watch in trailer time because I didn't want to add another trailer.
Right.
But the beta's out. If you're into Battlefront 2, you already know the beta's out. You're already probably doing it, and it's happening. So do it.
Yeah, and Two Little Lies, I also would like to see some Old Republic, not necessarily represented in the movies, but definitely represented in canon. There's actually if you want to kind of like make your voice heard, if you go to change.org and search the Old Republic, there's a woman who is a huge fan of the Old Republic stories, and she's arguing, or she has tried to get Lucasfilm to consider a Netflix style show based around the Old Republic. So go to that change.org thing and sign the petition.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. I mean, this is something we've been talking about forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm really, hopefully, at some point this happens. But you know, it is what it is.
Exactly.
All right.
so
Anything else?
Usual roundup.
Roundup time. I feel like we need like horses and whips and like yeehaws.
I keep telling you we need the Woody's Roundup theme from Toy Story.
No, I don't know if that's good enough.
How about you bite me?
Maybe we talk about this off mic.
I hate you.
All right, here we go.
I can't imagine any kind of future where I'm a hero.
Well, you're not.
In the future, none of you are heroes.
You're legends.
All right, so if you're new to the show, or we've got quite a few people watching, which is great. Thank you
Yes.
for being in the chat room.
Double digits.
Please feel free to contribute. We got some stuff we need to talk about, but the usual roundup is basically our pop culture section. We have spin-off shows that we kind of experiment with here and there, but really what it comes down to is we've combined them all into one section of the show at the end. We do movies, we do verses. I guess.
We really try to get them. We tend to do the spin-off shows in summer. We didn't do them this summer just because I was out of town. But we tend to have more free time in summer because we both work at a school. So
sometimes we'll sit around and we'll just talk about everything that's going on with the Berlanti stuff and
Exactly.
Marvel and that kind of thing. But
and you can, I guarantee you that sometime in the next 2 months we're going to be doing a Game of Thrones standards.
oh yeah, we're going to come back to Game of Thrones, so we got to give people some time. We got a couple guests who hopefully are
We're
listening.
chomping at the bit.
That they're ready to come back. So anyway, usual roundup. We're starting with sad stuff.
Yeah, we tend to start with the sad news to get out of the way before we get on to the happier stuff. But we lost Tom Petty just a couple days ago.
It was on the heels of the most tragic mass shooting that the U.S. has seen, and this was like the next day, right?
Yeah, and Tom Petty was just found at home, 66 years old.
And he's rushed off to the hospital at a heart attack, and that's it. And what hit me about this is not only was I a fan of Tom Petty, but at the same time, was really weird is that my brother-in-law and his wife, my brother-in-law bought his wife tickets to a Tom Petty concert because she was a big fan, and they just went a couple of weeks ago.
Weird.
And saw him perform and post all these pictures and stuff like that. And then I texted him that day, and I was literally 20 minutes after I found out. And I'm like, bro, this happened. And he's just like, no. You know what I mean? It's just, it sucks to lose an icon for rock music like Tom Petty that young.
Yeah, and actually there's
he's still touring, for God's sake.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that came out today talking of Matt Groening.
Yeah.
Talking about his appearance on The Simpsons,
yeah.
which is classic.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was cool.
So yeah, all you have to do is search is Tom Petty Simpsons, and you'll find this article. It's it's sad to see him go.
I mean, there's not much else to say except if you don't know who Tom Petty is, then okay. But if you knew who he was, oh man.
I mean, Free Falling, I Won't Back Down, Last Dance with Mary Jane.
Just some of these great pieces of music that kind of just stick around for a long time. It's not like, oh, this song was cool and oh wait, what's and you lose it. It's like these are songs you can still listen to, and we have been listening to for 20 years.
Absolutely.
So rest in peace, Tom Petty, man. That sucks, but again, Yeah, only 66.
Yeah, it was weird. We stopped by on the way home tonight. Little behind the scenes stuff here. We stopped at Rite Aid to get some beer and whatnot, and there was some Tom Petty playing on the overhead.
There
music.
was.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I think that's fitting. All right, man. I threw this in here because we talked last week about Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, in discussions to possibly do a Star Trek movie.
A Star Trek movie, and this is just one of those things that comes up. He'd rather do Star Trek over Star Wars,
and he totally fits the Star Trek pipeline.
I think he and we speculated a little bit that the Star Trek Tarantino flick would be a trip, and it'd be a lot of fun, but also super dark.
Dude, I would love to see a bloody, gory mess of red shirts.
Exactly. Like, do you have a red shirt? No, that's too bad.
Yeah, if you don't have a red shirt, it'll be red soon.
But I don't think I could see him doing a Star Wars film.
No, I just don't see it.
It depends, obviously in the future, who knows, depending on where they go with the franchise, but someone like Tarantino, I don't think would ever do something like that.
Tarantino really blurs the lines in a whole bunch of racial discussions, for good or for ill. And that is something you could definitely do in the Star Trek universe that you really can't get away with in Star Wars.
Exactly. So, Glass?
Yeah, so if you guys haven't seen Split yet, which is the James McAvoy movie with M. Night Shyamalan that came out this previous year, it's really good, really enjoyable, and spoiler alert, close your ears in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It was a backdoor sequel to Unbreakable. And so now, so now Shyamalan has just started production on Glass, which is going to be the third movie in that trilogy. And it turns out that Glass, which is the Samuel Jackson character from Unbreakable, has been pulling the strings behind the Bruce Willis and James McAvoy characters the whole time to set them on a collision course.
Nice, dude.
So I'm looking forward to this movie.
1 second.
And it looks like it's going to come out sometime in 2019.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
You have something about for gaming in here.
Yeah, we don't really talk about non-Star Wars games all that often. We used to more frequently, but we as a group tend to play Marvel Puzzle Quest, which is a great game, and they're just starting tomorrow as we record, so October 5th. They're starting their 4th anniversary event, which is X-Men versus the Apocalypse. And there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but we have our own alliance in that game, and I am cleaning up the alliance a little bit, and so I'm recruiting. So if anybody wants to play, you can DM me on Twitter at IamWillGriggs, and I'll get you the information to get onto our alliance on Marvel Puzzle Quest. It's a lot of fun. We tend to play the alliance events, and so that's what.
It's a really cool game. I have been out of the loop for the last couple months, but the summer got away from me. But
yeah, with the new event that starts tomorrow, we're going to be getting Double ISO 8, and what we're going to get is 2 new versions of Gambit.
Oh, nice!
It should be a lot of fun. We're going to get a 3-star and a 5-star.
Well, I got to come back for Gambit, so I plan to get back into it. But yeah, definitely check it out.
We actually have a little bit of Gambit film news later too.
Yeah, totally. But let's get to reviews. Let's talk TV. Rick and Morty season 3 delivers Adult Swim's highest ratings ever.
Rick and Morty has become a juggernaut.
It really has been. I'm glad. I'm glad on a couple levels. I'm glad that Adult Swim is coming back. I was a big Adult Swim fan back in the day when it was freaking. What was it? It was called Blues. What was it called?
Well, you're trying to think about this. I didn't.
It had H. John Benjamin as the coach. It was Baby Blues.
Oh, Baby Blues. That's right. And then Home Movies.
Home Movies. There was all kinds of really cool stuff on Adult Swim. One of my favorites was Aqua Teen Hunger Force. But like I said, I'm a big fan of Adult Swim, and I'm glad that they have something that is like a juggernaut, like Rick and Morty. I've been getting into it. I really enjoy it. I keep wanting to just start at the beginning and figure out what I missed.
Your brother actually has been the only one to show me. I think we watched 2 episodes of it, and I was laughing uproariously.
Yeah.
But so I just want to start back at the beginning. And I didn't put this in here, but there was a new video released either yesterday or today about the 25th anniversary of Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And it's a whole bunch of the old, like, Samurai Jack, not Samurai Jack, but Johnny Bravo and
yeah.
Girls, and all them that have, Ed Nettie, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you should
No, I
check
used
it
to
out.
watch all that stuff, Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls and all that stuff. Yeah, Rick and Morty, Darth Andrew, I think, hit the nail on the head. It's this decade, South Park. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and in their season finale, they had a major South Park joke, from what I understand.
Yeah, and so what I'm doing is I've been watching it. I'm still in season 1. Typically what happens is I work one of my crazy 15-hour days.
Yeah.
Then I come home, I eat my pizza, I watch Rick and Morty, and I'll watch an episode, and then I fall asleep. And then what happens is whatever I'm watching it on thinks that I'm in season 2. And so I have to figure out where I was. I don't like the autoplay thing sometimes.
You can turn it
but,
off.
Yeah, well, here we are.
Um,
I'm Rick and Morty's brilliant. It's really good. Definitely check it out.
yes. One thing that I also didn't to mention in here is Family Guy season 16 premiered this week.
Yeah.
And it had an Emmy themed episode that they we still have never been nominated or won an Emmy and da, 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 da.
Gee, I wonder why.
And so they pretended to they did a whole bunch of jokes about they pretended to be Modern Family, they pretended to be Breaking Bad, they pretended to be The Sopranos. It was hilarious.
Right.
It was
Oh,
a really
that's
well
funny.
done episode. I thought it was one of the smarter episodes they've done in a long
I could
time.
have put a picture of Rick and Morty up there, but I didn't.
You could.
Westworld might visit medieval and Roman worlds in season 2. From what I gather from this story is that there's 4 different
In the original
parks going.
Yeah, in the original movie and TV show, which was Westworld and Beyond Westworld, you had Westworld, you had Samurai World, you had Medieval World, and you had Roman World, right? And at the very end of this first season of Westworld, we saw them interact with the Samurai World.
With Samurai World, yeah.
And also in a couple of scenes where they're in closets and hallways and stuff, you see some medieval stuff on the
On the walls,
shelving
or something.
behind it.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
So they have alluded to it. I'm surprised they're actually coming out and saying it.
Yeah. So I think, from what I understand from the article, is that especially in this next season, they're gonna have to allude to the fact that there's other things going on.
Yeah, it's a wider universe. For
Yeah. So which is cool. Which I mean, Westworld's brilliant. I mean, it's so good.
brilliant.
It's so good. All right, so let's get to casting stuff.
So Daniel Craig, who's signed on for at least one more Bond movie, it looks like he's reportedly in talks to play Mr. Sinister in Gambit. And if you don't know, Mr. Sinister is one of the more Machiavellian, puppet stringy type of people
Let me just tell you,
in the Marvel universe.
if Daniel Craig is in Gambit, I mean, I was in before.
Yeah, because you got to remember, it's still what's his name? He was just in the Kingsman. Channing Tatum.
Yeah, Tatum.
Is still the person supposed to be playing Gambit.
Indeed. Release date stuff. I saw that we must have both saw this today, but
We
Bob's Burgers
Yes.
is going to be doing a musical movie in 2020.
Yes.
Is that what I'm getting from it? So I love Bob's Burgers. I am woefully behind in Bob's Burgers.
I know they're on season 8 or 9.
Yeah, there's a lot of seasons. I watched the first couple, and then I stopped kind of watching cartoons at night for a while, and I'm trying to catch up. But I love Bob's Burgers, mostly because I love H. John Benjamin and that kind of thing. But a musical sounds
I don't know.
amazing.
I have a little tangential Bob's Burger news later in Sony.
Okay. And Futurama is coming to Sci-Fi. They picked up all the reruns.
Which is your favorite cartoon ever.
It is my favorite cartoon ever. And currently, if you're watching the live feed, I am away from the mic, sorry, just so people can see my shirt. I'm actually wearing a mashup of Doctors and Futurama.
Yeah, it's
Heads in Jars.
Yeah, Heads in Jars, and it's got all Dr. Horrible,
A lot of Doctor Who's
Hauser, Dr.
as well.
Octavius, Doc Brown.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes. All right, so now we're on to our Universal Usual, and we only have one bit of Berlanti news, which is really interesting because Berlanti's starting back up next week.
Yeah, it is.
Danny Trejo is being brought into The Flash.
Really?
And he is playing Gypsy's father.
Oh, I like that Gypsy character. I actually like that Gypsy character more than I thought I would.
No, I really like Gypsy, but what I'm more interested in is to see the interaction between Trejo's character, which is called Breacher. That's his name.
Oh, I like
And
it.
he and Cisco.
Oh, that's going to be
Because,
good.
you know, Cisco and Gypsy
Yeah,
are
and
kind of
he,
dating.
yeah. Oh, that's going to be good. I think it'll be fun.
Yes. We don't have any DCEU news this week, but we'll go right on to Disney.
Disney news. There was some. I think we talked about this,
We talked about this when it was being brought up last year.
but it was confirmed now
Yes, Disney's actually confirmed it.
that they did consider buying Twitter last year. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I don't think that would have worked.
Why?
Because
It would have been interesting. For
it
sure.
would have. Disney tends to do great on content creation and horribly when they try to get into conversation control.
That's a good point. Yeah. Anyway, so it was confirmed. There's a link in the show notes for it. They considered buying Twitter in 2016. I just thought that was a really interesting consideration.
Yes.
I think they were like, "Oh my God, this thing is really cool. We have money. Maybe we should buy it."
Yeah, it would have. I'm guessing. And the thing is with social media giants like that is it probably would have cost them close to what it cost them for Lucasfilm.
Oh, for sure.
I'm
for
guessing
sure.
at least 2.5, maybe $3 billion.
If not more, maybe.
I doubt it would have been over 4.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay. And Bob Iger, as I was alluding to earlier, announces he's leaving Disney.
Yeah, this has been in the works for a while.
Yeah.
It
He hasn't
actually-
he quit once already?
No, he's talked about that he was going to be leaving, but then the purchase of Lucasfilm and Marvel has kind of pushed back a lot of his plans.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's, from what he says, definite for mid-2019. Which I think is an interesting time, too, because it's right in the midst of the switch over to Phase 4 for Marvel.
yeah.
It's the ending of the sequel trilogy for Star Wars, and it's also right before the release of Star Wars Land.
Well, he's going out on top. Sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
Or before it gets really bad.
Could be. All right.
He's going out at the pre-apex.
Good call.
You like
Good
that?
way to put it. Then we only have a little bit of studio news with Disney is Maleficent 2, which is trying to get its director. It looks like the Joachim Ronning is in talks to direct.
Yep.
He directed Dead Men Tell No Tales,
Oh, really?
the most recent.
Interesting.
Pirates.
Okay.
And he's also signed on to do the next Pirates movie.
Nice.
So he's got the chops.
I would say yes.
Oh, awesome. Oh, you know what's funny is you put the Gambit news up in casting, and I put it down in Fox.
Oh, poop.
No, so it's all right.
I'll just delete this.
Yeah, just pick one. We have Fox, which just debuted The Gifted this week. I don't know if you've watched it yet.
I have not.
I have not, but I want to. It looks really good. It's getting good reviews.
Yeah, the wife and I were talking about trying to make time to watch that.
Right. The show that Fox wanted to do before that was called Hellfire, about the Hellfire Club. And the reason why they just did not follow through with it is because it would have been a great concept that would have had very little character
Cool.
depth, because it's about a whole bunch of megalomaniacal.
Maniacal.
Thank you.
Yep.
World conquerors that have no character depth.
Well,
So it would have been boring right off the bat.
I agree. Well, Shaggy says he's watched The Gift. He says it's good.
Awesome. Thanks, Shaggy.
Yeah.
All right. So on to Marvel.
Oh, well, Jessica Jones is happening, and it's actually
it's almost done with principal photography going into post production.
yeah, no, but it's slated for 2018, which I'm excited about because I have a feeling it's coming out before Daredevil 3.
Oh, it is, because Daredevil 3 hasn't even started filming yet.
Yeah, so which is cool because I feel like they're trying to get everybody onto the same seasons now.
from the order that I've heard is it's going to be Punisher next, then Jessica Jones, then I think Luke Cage is after that.
And then Cage, yeah, because Cage, we had some news, or we had talked about it at least.
Yeah, there's something minor today talking about how Iron Fist is going to be more involved in Luke Cage.
Which makes sense because again, the Iron Fist and Luke Cage, they're
Yeah, they've been together for 30 years.
yeah, exactly. All right, man. So Smod stuff, and we're getting close to the end here. Trust me, people. Kevin Smith has started scouting for Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yes.
He posted a picture on Instagram, him behind a clerk counter, that kind of thing. There's obviously a lot of people that are coming back for it. There's a lot of people who we've talked about that probably won't come back for it.
Right.
But I'm really happy that it's happening. I listen to a lot of his stuff, podcast wise, and he's talked about how most, I think at this point, 80+% are coming back for the film, which is cool.
Yeah, I think the only ones that are like long shots would be Ben Affleck.
And Matt Damon.
I think Matt Damon's more likely.
But also, I mean, Carrie Fisher has passed.
Yeah, George Carlin's gone.
And Carlin. But I mean, Hamill, I'm sure, will probably pop up. So I'm excited to see who they... What's that?
Cockknocker.
Yeah, I'm excited to see who they end up getting for this.
I hope they get Will Ferrell to come back as...
I do too. And I really hope that Walt Flanagan comes in and does some of his stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people who... I'm excited about this because this is not his really out there kind of Canuck trilogy stuff. This is like...
Right, it's more of his bread and butter.
He makes a point in this article of saying he doesn't own Clerks, he doesn't own Mallrats, he doesn't own
Chasing
Dogma
Amy.
or Chasing Amy, but he does own Jay and Silent Bob. And being able to go back in that universe but bring in the other Askew universe people, I think is really important, and I'm excited about that.
What I would love...
As a Smith fan, I'm excited about that.
I would love it if Dante Hicks is now working at a Hot Topic.
That'd be amazing.
Because for those of you who are Kevin Smith fans, know his sister manages a Hot Topic.
Yeah, exactly.
And Kevin Smith went and worked at a Hot Topic for a day one day.
That was a good one. So that's exciting. And on Kevin Smith news, you have to listen to what episode? What was it? It wasn't Babylon. It wasn't Babylon. It must have been Fat Man on Batman. But on one of his latest episodes, he talks about how he was basically slated to go in and hang out at this auction thing. And they're like, oh, actually, you're going to be the auctioneer. And he's like, wait, what? And so he stood up there and he did this whole thing. You have to listen to it. I got to find out what it was. But long and the short of it is, it was Stan Lee and him. They raised $25,000 for the hurricane relief.
Oh, that's awesome!
And it's through this various auctions of like a lunch, a place in a Kevin Smith movie in the reboot movie,
nice.
And then a lunch with Stan Lee, stuff like that. And there was some other stuff up for grabs
Hollywood
too.
Helpers, right there.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I'm glad that happened. What do you got for Venom?
We've got a couple of bits of Venom news. It looks like that the screenwriter that they're trying to get is the screenwriter who wrote 50 Shades of Grey. I don't know how that will go, but we shall see.
Well,
maybe
it'll be sexy.
They cast Jenny Slate, who, this is where I'm bringing up Bob's Burgers. She does a voice of one of the friends of the family,
right?
In like the high school student, the blonde high school student.
It was Babel, right? Too Little? I think it was Babel. He did the whole story in the last episode.
Was there one this last Sunday?
Yeah. They were live and I'll find it. Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, I just must not have heard it yet. No, I heard the one that they were in Oxnard.
Anyway.
Is there one since then? All right. So, so Jenny Slate has been cast, and we have the 50 Shades writer doing Venom. Sony really doesn't know what they're doing, do they?
No, they're all over the place, which is hilarious.
I think Jenny Slate is great. 50 Shades writer, not a good idea.
Well, I think because it's that writer, it's time to go to that movie and see what happens.
Yeah, that's
what I'm saying.
All right, actually, I saw this Funko news as well, and I'm really excited. I think these look cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm not going to put the
pictures up.
The pictures up because we're almost done. But Funko introduces 8-bit pops.
They're pretty cool.
And there's like things like Dig Dug and Batman and all kinds of stuff.
I loved Dig Dug when I was a kid.
Yeah, Dig Dug was like one of my favorite games. Link in the show notes. Check it out.
My sister Chris actually was one of the few video games she played. She used to play Dig Dug and she used to play Miss Pac-Man. That was basically it.
Yeah. But Dig Dug, I mean, classic.
Exactly.
And convention news, the first, and I only threw this in here because of you, the first offsite event for Comic-Con 2018 has been announced. And this was a few days ago. But it's going to be a D23 member mixer.
And do you want to know why they're doing this?
Please tell me.
Because they only do D23 every other year, so they don't have a D23 convention this year. So they need an outlet for it.
Interesting. All right.
Makes sense to me.
That's why I threw it in there. I figured you'd have an answer.
All right. Well, that's it for Universal Usual.
Are you done talking to me?
Well, dude, we've been going for over 2 hours now.
Oh, Someone had 27 trailers to watch. So.
48. Get it right.
So, thanks for tuning in to The Usual Podcast. If you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Emails at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we are on Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I'm missing some? It's hard to say. I'm at Pops on Twitter. Will is at Emerald Griggs. You look like you're going to say something.
No, I'm going to fall asleep.
It's been a long night, and that's okay. If you want to support the show, please definitely audibletrial.com/usual podcast is a great way to support the show. You can get an audiobook on us for free. And the best way to support our show, you can give us as much money as you want. More is better, but it's fine. A buck or two an episode, patreon.com/usual podcast. We will do trailer time. You will get that in your Patreon, very own Patreon Dropbox. Blooper reels from every episode, because believe me, there are many. And
Many.
and early access to the shows, because I'm sucking at editing, and sometimes it's like, here's early access, and then I post a show like 4 hours later. I try not to do that, but it's been crazy. But anyway, thank you for everybody who supports the show. Thanks for tuning in on Twitch, and definitely check out. I also stream on Friday nights, twitch.tv/usual podcast. I do our What's an Ops group night.
Yep.
And that's a lot of fun as well.
And we also, you can come to our stream anytime, because we tend to host other channels as well, including Kidley and a few other great gamers. So if you like Twitch, hit us up even when we're not on, because we do host other great content.
Indeed. So man, can we get out of here? Because
You're the one dragging it along.
I'm dragging it along because it looks like you're gonna pass out, which is great. Anyway, let's get out of here.
Yeah, everybody just make sure you have a fun.
Have fun. We'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Chat room, you were awesome.
Seriously, yeah, you guys were a great chat room tonight. Thanks for being so involved. When you guys are on your game, you're keeping us on our toes. It's awesome.
And all the social medias, yes, please do that. Shaggies, tell them.
Okay, have you been watching Tosh lately?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I have not watched Tosh.
It's great, because at the very end of the shows, he's like, follow me on the four major social medias, and it's always Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then he'll pick like a porn site, or he'll pick like
Netscape Navigator or something,
like Blue Apron or something like that. It's really funny. It's different every week.
Yeah, well, I don't watch Tosh.
It's funny.
I should. I have a lot of things I need to watch,
I
but
put
I
it
don't.
into Plex. All right.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you guys. We had a great time having the show.
before you watch us argue, it's time to go.
Oh, and knowing
we
that we
go.
do trailers, I just want to throw this out there. You can always hit me up on Twitter, and if you want to talk about a trailer any week, hit me up on Wednesdays, and we'll try to get it into the show for Thursday.
Oh, yeah. No, that's important. There was actually a couple trailers that I was going to throw in, but somebody had too many.
I hate you. Later, guys.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here. You rock. You really do.
Maybe they roll.
Are you really bringing that back? God's sake. Yeah, apparently I don't know how the technology works, so good night. I'm saying good night again. Good night.